Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 19th episode of the SERPs of the Week podcast, where we discuss all things related to ranking well in Google SERPs, not surprisingly. My name is Alex, and I am your host. And today I have the pleasure of introducing our very special guest, Freddie Chatt. Freddie, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, Alex. How are you?
Good too. Today, surprisingly, we had not a rainy day. So you kind of most probably share, since you're based nearby London, you can share a bit of my excitement about this fact.
Yeah, dry days are always a good day.
Yeah, dry days is always good. Well, the only thing that made me a bit sad that the temperature goes below 0 degrees, so I had to clean some ice from my car. So it doesn't sound like fun at all. But otherwise, I'm quite happy. So I appreciate this day. So Freddie, thank you for joining us today. And let me introduce you properly, right? So then we can dive into our today's topic, quick wins for e-commerce SEO. Freddie is an SEO lover with over a decade of experience focusing on growing e-commerce brands. Quick question, Freddie. After spending over a decade in SEO, what do you dislike the most about SEO?
Oh, it's hard because I generally love SEO. Like I owe SEO a lot in terms of my entire career, sort of thing. I think probably what I hate about it, dislike about the most is kind of the sort of misinformation that's out there, and the lack of understanding of it makes it really slightly harder to get buy-ins and things like that.
So we have to call to Google finally and kind of ask them to send us a proper explanation of how their algos work, right?
Yes, that'd be really handy.
Right? Yeah, that will be, or at least if they can kind of guide us through the process of how it's starting, how it's ending, something in between we can get, right? So yeah. At least like high level touch points, that will be very, very, very useful, right?
Yeah,
okay, next time. I think, what kind of makes me, feel kind of sometimes very uncomfortable is Google updates, just because sometimes I don't really understand the logic of them, right? They're kind of happening. And we had how many this year? Can you please count?
I've lost count.
Three in this quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most probably around 5 in the previous quarter. So let's say like around 10. Gosh, was it really helpful in your opinion?
Yeah, it feels.
From a user standpoint, whenever you search something, do you feel the difference? May I ask you?
I feel like a lot of the times in the past, I haven't necessarily noticed the impact as that much. I feel like this year's ones, it feels like they have actually kind of impacted a lot more of a range of different sites. So I feel like I felt like it's been a little bit more noticeable. I think with all the major updates, there's always going to be some or a lot
ups
of
and downs, right?
Yeah, and there's going to be people that are like claiming that they've done everything right and they've been punished, and likewise, there's still going to be people that kind of like break Google's rules and get rewarded, sort of thing. So it's never going to be perfect, but that's why they're continuously doing these updates. But yeah, it's a real challenge in terms of kind of like dealing with the consequences of them.
Yeah, I agree. It's you never know, right? What kind of someone some kind of touch points. So, well, for instance, like now it's obvious that the content should be very fresh, especially in some niches. By the way, what about e-commerce niches? Do you feel the same, right? Because we have clients in the finance niche, and whether the content is fresh or not is really playing a significant role in their rankings. While it's not the same, for instance, for digital marketing related clients, it depends for sure. But what about e-commerce? So do you feel it's kind of a ranking factor or not yet?
In almost like it's in some industries within e-commerce. So like things like if you sell in anything closely related to the health and things like that, there's definitely going to be a lot of kind of like more focus on the freshness and making sure like the like citations all up to date and things like that. Whereas in like more general industries, kind of like most like if you sell like I sell cricket bats and things like that, so it's not, it's like it doesn't change, so it probably doesn't need to be as relevant and as so I think it probably varies quite a lot across different industries with like within e-commerce.
Yeah, I agree for sure. It depends on what you do and whether it's kind of a seasonal thing, right? Most probably, and whether the demand is changing or something like that, and so on. But do you think, by the way, I have one more question about e-commerce sale, because whenever we used to work with clients from e-commerce sale, and my main problem with them is that they don't really create content, right? They want to rank for category pages, which is understandable. I don't have any problems, right? Because that is what they sell. That is what they want to actually rank for always, right? So, but from a let's say like a user standpoint, from an editor standpoint, right? That is not the best pages you want to link to unless you are an influencer or something like that. But one more time, there should be some some close relationship with that brand or something like that, at least, right? So you have to love this brand. And so I just wonder about content creation on a general note, right? Do you feel that there are any changes, right? Any shift from kind of just having all those category pages, working with them closely and making them rank, versus working with content and trying also to create some, very good content pieces that kind of can attract link and kind of, then pass the internal link juice back to the category pages and so on?
Yeah, so from my experience, the best performing e-com brands all have created that sort of content. I think it like you say, it's very easy for e-com stores to just have the like kind of category pages, product pages, and just kind of almost like hope for rankings. I think but when it comes to the real results, kind of the best results, having that content, I think it helped build the overall kind of like authority of the site in terms of like both Google trusts you and the user when they're browsing the site can see that you have content like a buying, even if it's just like a buying guide about the product, or like even if it's still closely related to it, like it all helps build that trust, which I think is becoming more and more important within like kind of like the e-com space in terms of ranking. So yeah, I think it's definitely something I'm seeing more brands look to do, probably as they realize it's not as easy as just having lots of collections and ranking those. So yeah, it's definitely something that seems to be more and more kind of like prevalent in the e-com space.
Yeah, so that is on their radar as well. So they're kind of investing in content creation, right, in different ways, which is great. Just because I think, right, yeah, I agree that content becomes an essential part of your brand entity, if you know what I mean. Just because it also creates some touching points, right? And it also kind of helps you set up your brand voice, right? Helps you share your philosophy, which is nowadays is very important, right? So what you value as a brand and so on, right? So kind of create some emotions, because whenever you browse a catalog of products, it doesn't really create any emotions. And nowadays, most probably, right, you have to create those love-hate, relationships in some way, right? I've recently, by the way, talking about e-commerce brands, I was so disappointed. Today, I received a very expensive product, so a skin product, right? And I ordered it just because they gave me a 50% discount on Black Friday. Do you know what? It's expired in February this year. They told me an expired product that I can trash, right? And I need to trash, because I don't really want to use it. So, I'm not a testing sample. Yeah. I don't really want to kind of experience, right, this. And that is ridiculous. That is all about Black Fridays nowadays, right?
Yeah. That is crazy.
I paid for an expired product.
Surely you can get a refund for that.
Yeah, I've already actually reached out to be, which is more ridiculous because I ordered a few products and they called me even 2 times and they never mentioned they would send me this expired product. Never ever. I was like, what? It's just kind of crazy, right? Black Fridays, sometimes not so good. That was the only thing that I bought on Black Friday, by the way. Well, I guess I'm just unlucky. Okay, so, and circling back to our main conversation, right? Shifting from my bad experience to a better experience of how you can, right, leverage the real power of SEO by doing some quick fixes, right? And since you work a lot with e-commerce brands, you must probably have your own approach to this, and I'd love to hear, right, what will be your biggest recommendations, right, that will really lead to some meaningful results, let's say close to kind of, you do today, you get the results tomorrow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a few quick wins, and I can share some of the results that I've had from those particular quick wins as well.
Right, okay, so really excited to hear them. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm kind of prepared.
Right, so the first one is specifically for Shopify sites. So Shopify have a quirky kind of like setup when it comes to some of their product pages through collection pages. So often you'll click through to a category page and then click through to a product, but the URL is not basically the product page that can rank. So they've got some duplicate product pages issues. Which
I was about to ask, is it a duplicate? But you're answering.
Yeah,
great, thank you.
Which they solve it through canonical. So it's like it's not technically wrong. It's just not ideal. But what it means is that it's often Google doesn't end up crawling many of the real product pages. Some of these duplicate pages can get indexed in Google and stuff like that, and it causing conflicts and things like that. So there ends up being no internal links to these pages. So when you kind of crawl in the site, it's really obvious that like there's some issue going on. But interestingly, it's normally it takes about 2 minutes to fix it, because there's a little snippet of code in in one of the theme code options. And you literally just need to go in and remove like a small text, basically says within : collections. And
it's within Shopify, right? In settings?
Yeah. Within kind of like the theme code, you just need to tweak it slightly. And that basically then unlocks all the product pages to Google. And it means that they can kind of like quite easily crawl all those pages, like almost like from that, as soon as you make that change. It doesn't cause any broken pages, because all those other pages still exist. So if you've ever been using them for ads and stuff like that, they're still fine. But it means that the actual kind of on-page experience is a bit more fluid. And I did this for a brand. I think it was earlier this year, and they ranked, like they were doing pretty well, ranking like bottom of page 1 for a lot of their like kind of product pages. But then we did this, and literally within a month, they shot up from kind of like low page 1 to all like top 3. So added thousands of visitors and thousands of kind of like pounds to their revenue just by this kind of like one simple change that took about 5 minutes to fix.
Yeah, cool. What about duplicates, right? If you have kind of, it's kind of automatically setting up the right page, and just Google understand that at the right page and not really taking into consideration the ones that are kind of, basically the same ones.
Yeah, so generally because of the canonical, it should be okay. It's not necessarily like a major issue all the time, but I think the larger you get, like the bigger impact it has, basically. But it's a nice quick win to do really early on, so you're never held back by it, basically.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I have a question, just a quick follow-up. Whenever we are talking about quite big websites, right, that are kind of fighting with crawling budgets and so on, right? how to tell Google that basically those pages should be prioritized. If there is any way to create kind of a line or kind of a special request, so Google will faster pick up those pages?
And usually, like, I do that through like the sitemap and either creating a dedicated sitemap. Shopify itself is normally quite good at creating. They have separate sitemaps for different page types. So I often use that in terms of kind of like making sure Google kind of like knows those pages are important, and that's what we're kind of like looking for them to look at.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other tips? Just
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I'm not so good in e-commerce, so can't really suggest anything straight away. Only having, well, quite kind of basic follow-up questions, let's say.
Yeah, no, that's all good. So the next one is actually not e-com specific, but it's something that is very common in e-com because of how it changes. So basically fixing your broken external links. So obviously over the years, you'll have links into products, to categories and collection pages, and then sometimes those pages you'll stop selling products, so they'll break. Like it's a super quick win to find those in tools like Ahrefs or as a SEMrush or any other like kind of tools like that. And then you can basically just redirect those to similar categories, products and stuff like that. And it just helps you kind of like claw back that authority that you then lost going to 404 pages. So that obviously applies to almost any industry, but I see it a lot in e-com when I start working with clients that have like either changed platforms over the years or they've like updated products and stuff like that. So that's another like kind of super quick win that people can do.
Yeah, well, I think I come up with the idea, but want to validate it with you. Let's see, right? How good or bad I am. So I thought, right, so most probably that the kind of the chances of ranking by any set of category pages heavily depend on how far away the categories from your homepage, right? So let's imagine tomorrow I want to launch a special Christmas kind of promotion, right? Will it help if, right? Well, for sure, I'm a brand entity, obviously, right? I have some kind of brand value that I can leverage. Will it help if I just put somewhere on my homepage the link to this subcategory?
Yeah, definitely. So that's something I've done in the past for many clients, for particularly kind of like those deeper collection pages that may not be featured in the navigation and things like that. Like adding some links to the homepage to these pages, like kind of can give them quite a big boost. So the homepage is normally the most powerful page in terms of links and everything like that.
Obviously, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely good to have some like more internal links through to those kind of like deep level, like kind of collection pages, 100%.
Yeah. By the way, how it works, right? Whenever basically, does it really also influence your ranking? So it's more like for improving the overall experience of users and just kind of trying to sell more whenever you add a line of similar products, right? So for instance, you have your best selling products, right? And whenever someone lands there, you also either you might be showing like, the best match products, right? The one that users prefer to take, right, together, or the one that are kind of might be complementary, right? Depends on what you sell and how you sell it. But I wonder whether, right, whenever we are talking about best-selling products, right, I assume they kind of have quite a lot of traffic, right? For sure, it depends on the size of your website. And then whenever you add this line of either complementary or the product that users want to buy together, right? Is it kind of, it can or cannot or not really affecting the rankings of those, complementary ones? So that will be my question.
Yeah. So from my experience, I've never tested it, so I don't know for sure. but I think from my kind of
but you have your gut feeling, right? And tons of experience, obviously, right?
Yeah, but from generally speaking, like kind of the best selling products that will have the most traffic, the most links, because like they're the ones you're promoting the most, and things like that. Having those internal links through to the other products and different variations, or whatever that may be, will definitely help that, because it kind of like just helps spread the flow of that authority through to those pages as well.
Yeah, this makes sense. It should, I mean, like it most probably indirectly, right? So not really in a kind of in a very direct way.
Yeah.
Just because, one more time, it's just kind of a small fix. It's not really something like putting on your homepage one more time. So it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have one more question, actually. I just realized about digital PR and e-commerce, because I've been always, a lot of brands, right, agencies are kind of always bragging about exceptional results whenever they put an e-commerce brand, right, especially when they don't really have very high tier products. Let's say like, they sell something in a medium low tier, right? So not really super expensive brands, and they put them kind of on New York Times or something like that. Let's imagine that have obviously a good readership, and the users are kind of reading those newspapers. They're actively engaging with the content. Have you ever been involved or seen the results of such campaigns? Just for I was always curious about that. Is it really like kind of you're putting your brand there and then you get tons of clients straight away?
Sometimes I've seen it in the past where we've had a product featured in, I can't remember exactly where it was, but we had a few hundred in stock, and the referral traffic alone sold out from that. Cool. So it does happen. I think it's not that common. I've only ever had it happen once. But I think if you hit the right publication with the right products and it's the right time, like particularly if you do anything kind of like in Q4 when people are always buying gifts, anything giftable,
it sounds way better than organic traffic now. I think like, you kind of, it's predictable, because if you have any relationship with we don't recommend paying to journalists, but let's imagine you're lucky enough that is your good friend, right? So if you have good relationship with someone, on New York Times or something similar, right, you just kind of 100% you will be featured. Well, for sure it should be, well, it doesn't matter whether the link is follow or no follow in reality, right? It should be just clickable.
Yeah.
And that is very much it. Wow, sounds way better. Sure shot, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I guess because my main problem with organic traffic, and most probably whenever it comes to e-commerce brands, it's quite the same. Ranking at the top results, right, doesn't mean necessarily selling the product, right? So because everything comes with certain level of conversions.
Yeah, so like if you're ranking for like really big head terms sort of thing, so I think I often use the term kind of like necklaces, like to land on a category page for necklaces, you don't know whether someone wants a silver or gold. You don't know whether like if they want it in a certain with a diamond, with different gemstones, with if they want it to be waterproof or anything like that. So often, particularly for smaller brands, I always say to like try and go as specific as possible. Like if you had a client that sold kind of like waterproof jewelry, so like good for being active because it's sweat proof, good for the beach because it doesn't tarnish and things like that. So, but their site was just like, although they mentioned it on the site, their category pages were still just called like necklaces, bracelets, rings, and stuff.
Yeah, okay, very generic, right?
Yeah, and so all we literally did is put waterproof on the H1 in front of on each of them, and tweak the page title. And again, like their rankings again shot up from low page 1 to high page 1, like almost overnight, just by adding kind of like the actual being more specific in kind of like the category names. And that can just, again, like it's a small quick win, particularly for like those smaller level brands that can make a bigger impact to their actual kind of like revenue.
Yeah, I understand. By the way, when it comes to whenever newly arrived e-commerce brands, right? They're selling some things, right? Like, let's say like engaging links, let's say, which is extremely competitive, I know, right? Whenever they're trying to enter such categories nowadays, how do you feel about that? If there is any sense to invest in SEO, maybe you should kind of build up firstly your brand and then try to give it, SEO, because in some situations, I don't even recommend our potential clients to consider SEO just because it's kind of a waste of time in their situation.
Yeah, 100%. If you've got kind of like a brand new brand, brand new website in a very competitive space, there's going to be like, you're better off going after kind of like the paid social launches, and if it's kind of like a beverage brand and things like that, you can like go in wholesale and things like that will probably be a much better return for the investment for them, like particularly early on. I always kind of like encourage them, if they've got the budget, to potentially kind of like test out some kind of like paid Google ads, because then they can actually get some data in terms of what keywords may work for them.
First-hand results, right, to understand
where
they stand for, right?
Yeah, so then they can kind of like get an idea of kind of like if there's a batch of keywords that convert really well, but like they're paying quite a lot for that or wherever it is, then they can actually kind of like in the long term maybe start like create a landing page for SEO for like that sort of keyword, and then over time they can build links to that, and then once they're in a position where maybe they've got some PR and got some links and got some authority going, then they can probably like kind of layer on some kind of like more classic SEO on page stuff, and then probably be more competitive over time. So yeah, definitely if they're brand new brand, normally I'd like kind of stick down the kind of like the paid social route in a competitive market, and then test out some Google ads and then go into SEO from there.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Freddie, I know that you're running your own e-commerce SEO course, right? Could you please share us a little bit more about this? Because most probably, well, I'm more than certain that our listeners would love to learn more, right? So they can learn more about this topic and join your course.
Yes, so I'm recently almost launched. It's launched in a couple of days, actually. The eCommerce SEO Bootcamp. So you can go to my website, freddiechatt.com, and head over to the link to the bootcamp and get more information. But essentially, it's my process and my story of how I grew my own brand here in the UK to over $10,000 a month through just SEO. Obviously using all my experience from the last kind of like 12 years within SEO, and particularly within e-commerce to be able to do that. And so it goes over all the kind of like the basic keyword research, what content to create, how to optimize kind of like the collection pages, the product pages, and then some kind of like link building advice as well, in terms of kind of like getting some links to the products and things like that. So super excited for that to go live in a couple of days. Had some good pre-sales and stuff. I had some good early feedback on that too.
So guys, don't miss a chance and join Freddie's course so you can learn more about e-commerce SEO and just kind of start, doing some amazing things and getting quick wins, right? Thank you very much, Freddie, for joining us today. It was a pure pleasure having you, and many thanks for educating myself, right, and educating our listeners on this tricky topic. So thank you very much for being here. I appreciate that, and hope to talk with you soon. Thank you very much.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being with us.